All right, are we good back there? All right, it looks like we've come to the appointed hour. We'll call the Cumberland County Finance meeting to order and begin with the roll call, please.
Commissioner Niederer?
Here.
Commissioner Fashi?
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger?
Present.
At this point, we'll open the floor up to public comment. We have a bunch of folks in the room today, but I think they're all related to matters that are on the agenda. Is there anyone online?
No one online.
No one online. Okay, we'll start off then with the approval of the minutes from the July 31st meeting.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That will lead us right into the grant application. Ms. Salzarulo.
Good afternoon, commissioners. This is the election integrity grant that we've had for a few years now. It's always a significant amount of money, which is nice, covers a lot of our budget. And this will allow us to enhance security and also pay for all the help that we get on election day and everybody who comes down to help us. And we use it for just all sorts of things. It's very helpful.
Certainly is a significant part of the expense, which we appreciate.
Yes.
Jean, did you have any questions?
Bethany, does this grant still demand that we continue the count 24/7 until we're finished?
Yes.
Okay, and we're prepared to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Gary, any questions? Right. There are no further questions. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Perfect. You're up again.
Yes, so this grant application has to be done online. It's not something that can be done on paper. And so I would need your approval today to submit and execute all the documents within their tight 2-week time frame that they give us to do all of this.
All right. I don't have any questions related to that. Someone like to make a motion?
I'll move to, I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Ms. Chornak in the house. Come on down.
A little closer. I actually have some handouts. Jean will email you a copy of the handout. Just because when we put this up on screen last time, the numbers are very small. So.
Okay. All right.
Beth, did you already provide this?
The screenshot is from the questions on Monday. The initial numbers chart. Information was out. Yeah.
Okay.
The other one is summaries of what I plan on saying.
Okay. Thank you.
So, all right. The two contracts in front of you work together. Each contract has two parts to it. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is the Infor contract. The Infor contract is for their Cloud Suite contract or Cloud Suite software. It's a 5-year contract with no annual increase between years. The annual cost for that contract is $455,000 per year. Approval of the Infor Cloud Suite contract would be offset by whatever current maintenance we paid for this year. So the first year, we would not be expected to pay the $455,000. It would credit out based on the time that has passed since the current maintenance was paid. So once, if it's approved, then once that is paid for, it covers both the version we're currently on, the on-premise version, and the Infor Cloud Suite. We do not have to pay for both at the same time. The Cloud Suite will cover both products until we're fully live on the Cloud Suite product. Okay. The RPI contract also has two parts to it. It has a master agreement, and then it has the statement of work. So the contract is broken out into phases. The phase one is the financial procurement phase, and the cost is not to exceed $1.8 million. The human resources payroll phase two is not to exceed $1.7 million. And then there's an estimated cost for travel expenses that was provided by RPI's analysis that they did 2 years ago, and that's about $217,000. The total contract not to exceed is $3,748,000. All the pricing is time and material, so we're only paying for what we use. And any cost exceeding those amounts for each phase or the travel cost would have to be approved. If we would exceed those costs, then those change orders would come before the commissioners for additional approval.
Beth, if I'm seeing this correct, it's saying not to exceed. Is that not to exceed written into the contract?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep. So those are the two contracts I'm asking for approval today.
So just to back up, if anyone is watching this that has any questions, we are discussing the software that the county uses related to all of its financial systems and management of
Procurement.
that document or that documentation and procurement, correct? Okay.
HR, benefits, payroll,
Okay.
everything's all included.
Okay. So to say that this is probably the largest key system for us is not an understatement.
I believe that is a correct statement.
Okay. And the one item you had indicated, so it's time and materials, these contracts. Will we be auditing to that? Will they be supplying their records of what they're doing? And
Yes, invoicing will be detailed to the hours. So
Okay.
based on the time that they are here on site and they're working, they will give us a detailed hour per hour cost.
Okay. And Beth, we have limited options in doing this upgrade. Is that correct? I mean, our system is currently being sundowned or whatever you want to call it.
The version we are on is out of compliance as of 2030.
Okay.
So we have till December 2030 to either go to this version or whatever other option would be available. This project is a long-term project. It is a 3-year project, just because of the volume of differences between the current version we're on and the version we want to go to.
And this cloud-based version, we are very hopeful and believe strongly that we will be able to implement some measures that would be cost savings because of the efficiency of processes that we could put into place.
Yes, the current system we're on, we've been on for 20 years. So the technology 20 years ago is a lot different than it is today. So with this system, it gives us the opportunity to improve our processes and make them more automated, less paper pushing, streamline it, not so many people having to touch each transaction.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you had some other stuff. Did you want to talk about the implementation schedule at all, or?
That was just for your benefit.
Okay.
We do have a little bit of delay since this was created. We're looking to RPI they did say they built in some time, stretched out the project a little bit. So we have to look into when we're making up those weeks that are portrayed on here. But until we can talk to them, what their schedules are, how that will work. We're still going to keep our goal pretty much January 2026, because starting at the beginning of the calendar year makes annual reporting so much easier than having to dip into 2 different systems. So that's our goals. We just have to see if we can make that work.
That's what are we gonna do if we can't make that work?
We have to stretch out our timeline. Well, if we can't make the January deadline work, we can always push that deadline further into the year and then look into maybe doing a little bit of double entry where we're doing entry into the old system as well as the new system.
Is the vendor on board with that?
We have not discussed what our options are yet with them. That would be in our like preliminary opening meetings with them.
Two questions that I would have. One, I think we have discussed before. We currently are operating on a separate budgeting model system that we keep outside of our financial system. Is it the intent or is there potential to do budgeting within this new system, or will we always be budgeting separate?
Actually, Questica is a partner with Infor. And instead of Infor creating their own budgeting system, they pretty much just adopted the Questica as part of their big picture, I guess you would call it.
Will they interface such that we can get actual reporting based upon actuals to budget and those sorts of reports?
It will interface. To what extent is yet to be determined.
Okay.
So at least minimum what we're currently doing, if not improving it.
And Mark, one question that, as I was thinking about this, we're automating a lot of the processes. Will we be needing to retain any of those kind of documents that are working their way through the system? Will they be within Laserfiche or will they be within this Lawson Infor system?
They'll be within the Lawson Infor system. It has the documents and their bills right into their application.
Okay, will that require us then to evaluate our need for Laserfiche on any other level or not really?
Not really. I think we still have enough use of Laserfiche throughout the different county departments. So I think what we have in Laserfiche today is simply the controller's office scanning some of their not their payroll, their invoices and their checks are the only thing that is scanned in Laserfiche today related to Lawson.
Okay.
It's a small piece of what we're using Laserfiche for.
Okay.
Can I
Yes.
go into the budgeting side of it a little bit more? We use Questica to build the budget, but once the budget is built and approved, it is uploaded into Lawson, and then Lawson becomes the budget manager for
Okay.
the active budget. So it's not like we're running two systems all the time.
But when I had asked for reporting before, Dana, I guess you had indicated that it was a challenge to get some actual reporting based on because of the way that we look at funding. Sometimes it worked differently, that you weren't able to get good actuals reporting to budget. Is that the case or not?
So we can, once it's in Lawson, we have budget to actual built in, so we should be able to get it. But if you asked us to pull it in a different manner than it's in Lawson, then it would be difficult.
So
Questica built just
running
like-
changes to the budget is not easy then, if you, without changing it within, do you have to change it within two systems?
Once we're done with Questica and the budget is uploaded, it happens in Lawson.
In Lawson,
And then it's exported into Questica. But we use Lawson as the original record.
okay. So is there a way to get rid of Questica? There's not, we can't go straight to Lawson.
We need to build it somewhere. Lawson's
Okay.
not built to build the budget.
Do you foresee a time where they might merge
They've
it?
talked about it, but I think that they're sticking with their partners.
Okay. Is there any savings to us in this with Questica because of that partnership or anything? As I recall, the Questica system was pretty expensive.
It is expensive. And it's more than that system. We also have Open Book, and they're improving Open Book. So in the future, there's some things that we may be able to do once we upgrade Lawson, where we're pulling information automatically and reporting out to the citizens. But that's the next generation, right? But getting rid of we have to have something to build the document. Lawson's not set up for that piece.
Okay.
Not the document, the budget itself.
that's just a little disappointing on some level that we have to pay for two systems and they can't be merged, so to speak. That's what I was hopeful you would say. No, it'll.
Maybe someday. But I think it's because everybody does budgeting different depending on what type of industry you're in. And Lawson is built for all industries. So Questica is built for government budgeting. Healthcare does a different type of budgeting. They also have a lot of healthcare providers. Other industries do it different. So I think that's the challenge.
Okay. Will there be any savings that we can realize? I think there were some on the HR component and perhaps some of the HR systems that we're paying separately for. What I'm looking for, is there any way that this is, once we get fully deployed, that we may be able to drop other systems that we are currently paying for?
One of the HR systems that I'm looking forward to is the performance management. So right now we have a internally built system that does our performance management. This Cloud Suite version has its performance management system that I have seen working, and it will pretty much replace our homegrown software that we're using. So no longer do we have to worry about internal costs for somebody making any changes to it. It's more setup than actually coming up with design, so.
Mark, were you going to add something to
I
that?
was thinking the application process might be able to be done through Lawson.
Talent management is after we go live with Cloud Suite, it's I hope, I believe Holly is looking forward to doing all of the acquisition and everything through there. That's not part of this implementation. It would be like a next step. But
we don't have to buy a new system for it, right?
Have it. The understanding is we'd have access to use it. It's just, we would have to set it all up.
Okay.
So, but there won't be any more paying for that additional access.
Yeah, and I get it that a large chunk of this is being funded from grant money, from the ARPA money, and that's what's making this all, quite frankly, possible on some level, because it's a big expense. But I feel like I just can't emphasize enough, if we're going through these iterations to really bring this level of technology to play within the county, we need to extract every ounce of productivity out of it we can get. So I appreciate the fact that you all are looking at those things, and even if it's phased, implementing as many components to make it as efficient and effective as possible will be great.
One of the things we haven't talked about yet today is the accounts receivable. Currently, there is no accounts receivable in our Lawson system. It's being handled through quite a number of different ways throughout the county, depending on what your department is. So we're looking into that module to see if it can meet our needs and it can consolidate how everybody is processing their accounts receivables. So that's one of the other things that we're looking at in the scope of this work.
Great. I'm a bit familiar with that. Gary, do you have any questions that you wanted to ask the team? Jean, any more that trigger from
Yeah.
you?
Beth, I'm gonna follow up on the prior question that I asked. And we do not have a firm start date on this project. Am I accurate in what you've said?
That is correct. Speaking to our representative, once we have the contract signed, they will contact us within like 2 to 3 weeks and to set up the timeline.
Oh, so when do we start paying money? When do we start paying them? Because I'm not keen on signing a contract today and forking over county dollars and having the financial timeline start ticking when we don't know when they're going to start.
Payment to the consultants would not happen until after the fact, after they've recorded their hours, and we would get a bill from them once a month. The Lawson software, once that contract is signed, payment would be due probably within a month. from the signature so that RPI can get our version of the software up and running.
So they would start work right away.
They told me 2 weeks to start the preliminary meetings.
Yeah, Beth, I'm concerned because what I'm hearing you say is that we're executing a contract and we're going to pay a contractor, and that contractor is not guaranteeing when they're going to start work, but we're going to have to start paying them.
We're not paying them, and the consultant, we're not paying until they actually are on site doing the work.
And what about RPI?
That is, yeah, that's the consultant. RPI is the consultant, so that's the one that will be paying time and materials.
Okay, so Beth, who did you say that we would have to start paying in 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
That would be Infor for the Cloud Suite product.
Okay, and they'll be working? There will be work happening in that 2 to 3 weeks?
They once we pay them the maintenance costs, then they will set up our Cloud Suite site.
Okay, thank you.
And Jean, we are currently paying them.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
with
I
this,
understand.
yeah. So I think
Go ahead.
hopefully that will get it out, you know, like as well. I think they were talking that we will pay them, but we will receive credit while they're functioning simultaneously. So we're kind of,
There's two things happening. One is the software side of things. And so we have to pay the software so they can actually spin it up and create the environment the consultant can use to develop our design and work with the system. So we have to have the Infor application running. And then on the other side, you have the RPI consultants that we will pay on a time and material basis. So every month, as Beth indicated, getting an invoice for, 100 hours of work or whatever that is, and then we'll pay against the RPI contract for those pieces. But it has to be in tandem, otherwise they can't actually build what we're planning to develop. And then test it.
I understand. I was alarmed when I heard that we don't have a hard timeline on this. And I just want to make sure this is a very expensive project, that we are not paying for something and paying a contractor and paying for Cloud Suite when no one's doing any work. So if we get into that situation, Beth and Mark, you've got to alert the board right away.
We won't get into that situation.
Okay.
yeah. It's a good point, Jean. And this, just to basically summarize, the work that RPI is doing is to take our data from this one site and convert it to a new site and make it better and improve
Correct.
it.
It's take the data from our current site, move it to the new application with the possibility of a dramatic change in structure, which is what the design team is going to be doing with RPI to make sure that we have the right structure so that we can do the automation and the improvements that we're trying to do for the county.
Because our data is the same, whether it's housed here or there. It's when we move it to the new location that we are
organized differently.
making it a little different, better, more integration amongst departments. And so, okay. I mean, it's necessary, painful, but hopefully will be rewarding and, far better in the end.
It's very complex, which is why we're doing a 3-year implementation. And it requires all the experts that you see in the room here to really get county practices and build the system that we want for the future.
Sounds good. Jean, are you good? Gary? Did anyone want to make a motion?
I move for approval of the contract.
Okay, we have a motion for the Infor contract. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Would you like to make a motion on the RPI?
Yeah, I'll move for approval of the RPI contract as well.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, Keith, I know, was working with all of these contracts and had modified them, and it was a bit of the delay, but those are all worked out.
It's all worked out.
It's all worked out.
All
Perfect.
parties seem to be happy, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other business to come before the board at this time? If not, entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye.